Hello, Crafty Clan. Hopefully that's me live. It's been a while since we've been here live. But today, if you're just joining me, what I like to do is go through the Etsy quarterly financial results. These are things designed for the investors. Um, so it's not necessarily a whole load of details for sellers, but there's usually cool little tidbits in there that we miss, and there's some good figures, and I've plotted graphs and all of the things. So we're going to have a go at going through that together. I'll try and go through it relatively quickly, but I'm on a 90% certainty that I will make some smaller videos splitting up some of the important things, anything that we missed. But I know some people like to go through the whole thing. They like to hear what's going on. Yeah, so if this is your first time here, that's what I do. We go through the financials. I'm going through the presentation on Thursday. These came out on Wednesday evening, quite late on my time. On Thursday, I watched the presentation where Josh Silverman, the top man of Etsy, and his team give the presentation of the slides I'm about to show you, and there's always little extras in there. So I watched that. I took some notes. I have a pad of notes down here, but this is sort of the basic first look. You get some of my thoughts, some of my ideas, and then hopefully if there's stuff you want more detail about, I am going to research some a little bit more, and we'll either do, depending on how much stuff there is, I'll either early next week have some kind of roundup recap of the most important things, or I might even have some individual videos. So you might want to subscribe, please, just in case. Now, before we get started, I don't know. Ooh. Before we get started, I've got my winter plumage on, so I'm very pale by the looks of it. So don't be offended by the glow from the white glow from my face. Not enough sunshine in Scotland. But yeah, before we get started, if you haven't been here before, I'm Pam Duthie. I like to help you craft your career, making and selling your art online, mainly on Etsy, because at the minute of time, it's not perfect, but it's the best platform that we've got if you're crafty people. I have been selling on Etsy since 2008. I started kind of helping, well, in about 2014, I actually learned about SEO and actually learned how to sell on Etsy a little bit better. And then from about 2016, I started helping people. I started this YouTube channel, which hopefully helps people. A little while later, I started working with eRank, where I get to help even more people. And then in the past couple of years, I've actually been lucky enough to work on presenting for Etsy University and Etsy Shop Camp. So hopefully I don't know everything, but hopefully I know some stuffs and I can help you all out. So if that sounds interesting, you want to hit the subscribe button and keep checking in, because I'm human and I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes I'll surprise you by going live in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. And today's live stream, I am not sure if this is going to work, but this was a bit of fun anyway. Today's live stream is brought to you by me. Genuinely, my coffee mug just now, which looks all manky, that's just the cream sticking to the side. It did seem to work and everything. This comes from Spring, designed by me. My careful, I'm feeling stabby today, for all you needle felters, serial killers, or voodoo practitioners alike. Yeah, it's a mug. I don't think I make any profit off of it or anything, but yeah, I am planning in the new year of working on some more designs for fun things. So if this is a bit popular, then who knows? Anyway, it's a mug. It's of the quality of a mug. I've had it about 3 years now. It lasts. It's good enough. And my camera's reversing things, isn't it? There we go. That's that out of the way. And We'll see how long my coffee stays warm enough for, and let's get into this. So how do I hide that away? And let's pull up the financials. So this just Etsy releases this every quarter. Just search Etsy quarterly results and you'll see a load of them. And yeah, about this time, well, every quarter they release these results. So let's see. This came out on the 2nd of November. Yeah, a lot of garbage there. So, Etsy, of course, we're saying there's some strong performance during an uncertain time. One thing that I really took from everything they were saying is they're really trying to temper expectations. Especially, they seem to be gearing us up, tempering us up to say Christmas might not be amazing. I think it's going to be, I think it is tempering expectations. Things have definitely changed in the world. There's a lot going on. Hopefully, there's not going to be the pandemic online shopping that there was. People are feeling a little safer to go out. On top of that, there is, of course, global situation with wars. Many countries are hitting recessions and things. This is all expected. So, what I'm finding is people are shopping a bit later. It's also, my friend Starla said in the Erank Live, it's been a lot warmer. So, it's sneaking up on us or galloping up on us at a massive pace that it's nearly Christmas. So people just haven't started buying earlier. So I think there's going to be a decent chunk of sales, but not everybody's going to do great. So our Etsy sales down. If we have a look, GMS is your gross mean sales. I think that's what it stands for. It is basically just the amount that was brought into Etsy from people buying stuff. And the that is down 3.3% on last year. Now, that isn't a massive number, but it is still a number. We kind of expected this, if anyone was paying attention. So now they're putting in currency neutral basis. I think that's calculated for inflation and stuff. So, but that's just a way of hiding, making it sound a bit better than it is. But basically, it's not quite as good as it was last year, and that is expected because this year is a very different year from last year, and it's a very different year from 2020. So if you only started selling in the past couple of years, things are maybe getting back to a bit more normal rather than the crazy times that we had. And the Q3 revenue, now this is the money that Etsy makes from us making our sale. This is Etsy's, well, it's not the profit yet, but this is how much money Etsy's got coming in. And that was nearly 600 million, which is up year on year. And this might be a good time for this. Let me hide that one, bring back that one. So this is every quarter when we get the data in, I plot it on a little graph. I like graphs. So here's my graph. And basically, we've got on the left in orange is the revenue. This is Etsy's money. This is what they've made. And that's in millions. And the blue line is the GMS, how much we've all made in sales, and that's in billions. But I've tweaked the scales so they kind of fit nicely because, yeah, definitely there's something a bit interesting that you're hearing that we're seeing in this graph that, yeah, Etsy's not mentioned before. But we see this graph used to fit fairly nicely in that the revenue and the GMS kind of were similar, or not similar, it's billions and millions, you know what I mean. But or the GMS was a little bit higher, especially when the pandemic happened. We got a bit of a spike in extra sales with Etsy's costs. Of course, they went up because there was more going on, but they hadn't hired lots of people. They hadn't changed a lot to deal with the fact that suddenly it was a much larger company. But what's happened, if we look here in the past two quarters, Yes, well, in the past half, but in the past 2 quarters of the year, there's been a divergence in the opposite direction. The revenue is higher than last year, but the GMS is down a wee bit, and that Etsy did say, I think there'll be more on the slides later, I can't remember, but Etsy did say, and yeah, we know, part of this is from the fee increase. Simply, Etsy put the fees up, so the cynical amongst you could see that this means for because once a company is publicly owned, it's floated on the stock exchange, all that. And once this happens, shareholders want to see increases in the money all of the time. So although actual sales on Etsy have dipped ever so slightly, the money that Etsy's bringing in is still going up. I mean, it's slow, and we expected this. That there is a surprise. I'm not even pointing at the right bits, am I? I'm an idiot. Um, right. Where did I put this? Okay, I don't know. I don't know how to get that, but the line I'm pointing at the wrong bits. The lines from quarter two 2020 till Christmas last year, those lines were increasing far greater than normal because Etsy had a boost. But lately, Etsy had a boost because, sorry, I should explain this better. Etsy had a boost because people weren't going out and shopping. People took to online shopping, and Etsy really capitalized on that, which has been a good thing for all of us. But it's slowing down. That's expected. There's so much going on. So it's down, but if you look at that graph, if you look at the blue lines, like it's always lower in quarter two and quarter three. That's been a trend forever. So I would say this is kind of flat line. So we still could expect decent amount of sales over Christmas, I hope. I hope that kind of makes sense. Anyway, that's my little graph that I do every time. And hi to everyone who's just joining us. I see. Yes, I've opened the right thing. Valaya, did I say that right? Just joining. Where'd you get this report? I forgot to put links up, but if you just Google for Etsy quarterly financials, you'll find it. It's on Etsy, and then you just scroll down to the quarter that you want, and this is the presentation that comes from that. And we have Poppy's mum. Hello there. Saves you hours. You watch while making stock for your Etsy shop. Thank you so much. That's I've had actually a few people say this. I felt bad about when I do the like reading announcements Etsy's done and stuff, thinking, what am I really adding to benefit to people? But a lot of people have said they do like just hearing it read out. So thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, the Etsy marketplace GMS was 2.6 billion in 2020, quarter three 2022, compared to 1.1 billion in quarter three 19, which is roughly saying that Etsy is 2 times bigger than it was 3 years ago for the amount of sales that's coming in monetarily wise, which is really cool. But there's a lot more sellers as well. Let's have a look. Emily, hello there. Glad to see you. And Susie Q, hello. Thank you for joining me. And yes, investments have paid off. Tremendous gains since 2019. I think we know all this. So active buyers have doubled. They're saying active buyers are buyers who have made at least one purchase in the last 12 months. Repeat buyers are buyers who've made purchases on 2 or more days in the past 12 months. Habitual buyers are buyers who have spent $200 or more and made purchases on 6 or more days in the previous 12 months. So that's how they define these things. They don't tell us how they define what a seller is, because that would be really interesting. But anyway, 49% up for repeat buyers, spending more since this is all since 2019. They've been spending a little bit less since last year, but again, this all makes total sense. But anyway, since in 2019, buyers were spending an average of just over $100. Now it's $135. So more buyers buying more things and spending a little bit more money. That's all good, apart from the fact that there's more sellers. But anyway, so it doesn't mean that we're all seeing a massive increase, but it's still good. Um, and yes, 7.6 million habitual buyers, which is pretty cool. Um, and yeah, Etsy did a buyer survey in 2021, which is interesting because eRank did one as well. Myself and my friend Starla Moore did videos on the results of that. And one thing they were in the survey that Etsy did, they were saying the customers had said they experienced their experience on Etsy was better than they expected. And this eRank survey had a similar thing when we asked to compare like Etsy, Amazon, and everything. Customers felt better and had less bad time on Etsy. So although we are hearing of nightmare customers and we're hearing sellers seem awful, some sellers are sounding terrible with how they treat their customers. In general, on average, out of these millions of people, they are having a better time and they're getting items they can't find anywhere else. So this is all positive things. I don't know what the Etsy buyer survey was like. They have a big team, so I'm sure the questions were sensible and not leading. Doing surveys is a complicated thing, but this is all positive. Um, yeah, this is generally just business speak. I hate it's I don't know about you, but, like, when I was at school and they were teaching us how to write CVs or resumes when you're somewhere else, we were always taught not to just brag, you have to back everything up. But there just seems to be such a trend nowadays that everybody just brags. They just say these bullet points of, "I'm the best at this in the world." Prove it. But apparently we don't need to say this. But anyway, these are sort of Etsy's goals. So best in class search and discovery. They did oh yes, here's one, a little sneaky one that I heard, which I've not seen anywhere else. So I'm gonna have to dig into this. Yeah, I will make a separate video on this one. But so they're wanting to make the search and discovery better all the time. They want customers to be able to find what they're looking for. And yeah, for iOS, for Apple customers just now, they have rolled out a new thing. I haven't seen this anywhere. They only just mentioned this here. But in search, customers can upload a photograph and it will try and find matches on Etsy. So the idea for this, and I think it's a cool thing, is for people who can't explain, like, you know what you want, but you don't know what it is, which is a lot of customers. You can just drag a picture onto the search and then it will find kind of similar things. So this is really interesting. I have a whole load of thoughts on this, but two right now is make sure your pictures are clear. Make sure they are, that first picture really is going to have to be clear of what it is. Don't try and make it too much of a lifestyle picture if you want to be found with this new thing. And Etsy never said anything about this. This is a Pam speculation, so it comes with all the caveats. But I would be making sure you've got your alt text on the at least the first image for at least your most important listings. You should do that anyway, but don't spend loads of time on it. Alt text is just when you're in your listings on the photograph, you've got options to edit them, and now this little pencil tool to add alt text. And what you're wanting to do with that is not keyword stuff it, but just explain what you're seeing in the picture. So you describe your item. So now they've not said they're going to use that, but in my head, that makes a whole lot of sense. How do they know what's in a picture? They probably have some image recognition software going on somewhere at the background, but I bet they're backing it up with alt text. Or if we're adding it, it's not going to hurt us. But that's just me speculating. The other thing they're talking about is personalizations. They're really wanting to get people to the good stuff fast. So we know when you search for something, Etsy looks at you and similar people to you and similar and what you've searched for in the past. And so if you've their example, I think, was something like if you've searched for a lot of mid-century modern stuff and you search for a lamp, they're more likely to show you a mid-century modern lamp. So they change the search based on you. I have experimented with this. I do keep on trying to train the algorithm that I like gothic stuff. It's not learnt it yet, but it could do at some point. But that is something that they're that that's been happening, and what they're talking about is rolling that out even more. It is to an extent, but getting better with the emails they send out, getting better with the picks for you that you see on the homepage on Etsy, and I imagine everywhere else on Etsy that you might also like or whatever else. They want to make sure that they want to keep on working on the personalization. So everywhere you see something about Etsy, it's going to be basically, hopefully, things that people want to buy from. So that could mean in time we're going to see our results from search pages going down because people are finding what they want before they even have to search for it. And I have some thoughts on this, and I will put them together more into a separate video because I think this is a really interesting topic. But I will say just now, it does not mean that we have to stop thinking about keywords and everything like that. I think it's going to be actually even more important. We have to keep on explaining to Etsy what our items are. Um, Yeah, the human connections, they did mention again, still super proud of the videos and also adding buyer videos into your feedback and things. So videos are not going to go away. They're definitely happy with that. They also mentioned in the search bar where the videos like start playing when you hover over and stuff. They're happy with that. And I am too. I thought that was a really cool thing. And their third thing was always they want to be a trusted brand. The purchase protection program, which we spoke about at the beginning of the year, that's live. I have thankfully not had any reason to use it yet, but it seems to be working, although I think a lot of sellers don't really understand that it's working and get mad when Etsy refunds a customer. I think Etsy might be overly refunding. I don't have it. This is just a gut feeling. And they're not spending the time to look into if the customer was actually sensible. But well, it's Etsy's money to waste. Delivery transparency. Yep, they're pushing us all into saying how we're going to deliver it so that they can what's the word, tell the customer when it's likely to arrive. Now, another thing that I will have to make a standalone video for as well. But one thing that they mentioned is they're going to, over Christmas, things are likely to get really difficult and they're not wanting to be refunding hundreds of people for items not arriving. So they are going to keep on looking into all the postal services, and if it looks like your item's going to be delayed because of something like that that's out with your control, Etsy are going to automatically send your customer a letter. Grief. Now, in 1950s, Etsy are going to automatically send an email to your customer to let them know that there's been postal delays, so there may be a delay with your letter. The other thing this I'm not sure if this might come up in a separate slide, but it was really cool. Something that I've done for years over the Christmas period is if customers are buying later on in the year, and I'm really not sure that the item's going to get to them, I've made like a little PDF that they're able to print out and give to their friend for Christmas that basically says, your friend's ordered you this. It's flying its way to you from Scotland. You know, it'll be with you kind of thing. So they've got something to open or something to give at least. And Etsy's actually giving us a little PDF that we're able to do this, an official one from Etsy basically, but you have something on the way. I think making something personal for the item that the person's got, that they've purchased, could be nicer, but we've got this. You could maybe edit it. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I think that's a really cool thing. Just saying, here's something for your customer. Like if they suddenly realize on Christmas Eve they've been invited to someone's house and they've got no gift, you can send them the gift and give them this little thing that says you have something coming from Etsy. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be a separate slide for that. Um, deepened the usage of the new Star Seller badging program. So there's been 150% year-on-year growth of people who are in the Star Seller program. I just lost it this month. I've had it this whole time and I just lost it. So we're going to be getting a video on, I used to be a Star Seller. What happens now? But yes, 150% year-on-year growth. I think that's because they made it easier. Cynical me, maybe. And they also said that star sellers earn more, but I'm not sure if that's confirmation bias. I have noticed a few times in Etsy investor reports, they do want to big up the changes that they've made by saying that they're doing well. I mean, star sellers might earn more because a star seller, to become a star seller, you have to have sold more than, is it $300 worth of items in the past 3 months? So everybody who's selling less than $300, well, averaging less than $100 a month, can't be a star seller. So people who are making lower sales aren't star sellers. So by definition, star sellers make more sales, if that makes sense. Anyway, just checking the chat. Poppy's mum, thank you so much. My interpretation is not just reading things out, I'm interpreting. Thank you so much. Hither and Von Studios, my sales stopped November the 1st. What are they doing? Etsy's not done anything that should stop the sales like that. That's not an all over thing. They've not done anything. Things are a little slower to start. My Christmas sales did just start recently, but it's not likely Etsy. It's probably your customers. There might be some more competition. I would just do what you can to bump things up again. Let your friends and family and your social media following know about your best items. List some new listings if you have them to list. Do a little thing to be a bit active, and it might boost you up a little bit. Poppy's mum noticed in my feature items that where I have a video, it plays. Not sure if this new or if any just spotted it. Oh, I haven't seen into the featured, but that's cool as well. But yes, Etsy have been rolling out, depending on your device and where you're seeing it. But if a listing has a listing video, quite often that will play either automatically on the phone, on the app, or if you hover over it, which is a pretty cool thing. Valia, where can you get this PDF? I got an email from Etsy. I will make a video, get all the links, get everything done for that. I will do it soon. Sorry, I don't. This came kind of separately and last minute, and I haven't had a chance to look into it fully. But yes. Anyway, I will try. As I say, I'm keeping a note in my head of what people are the most interested in this presentation, in this talk. And there's things that I'm going to have to dig into and make better videos. I've dug into these a little bit. Excuse me. Oh, here we go. There's the things I just spoke about. I was listening to the presentation and taking notes. So yes, they're talking about listing videos and the search results playing automatically, which is really cool. Pricing and quality signals, giving people the option to filter by prices or when it arrives or whatever else. and more personalized recommendations. Oh, that is actually exactly what I was talking about, the mid-century modern lamp. So if you search for one thing and then you search for something, if you search a lot for a certain kind of style, when you search for something else, they're more likely to show that kind of style. But can Dixie give me more gothic stuff? I actually have spent a long time trying to train the algorithm just for funsies. So I'll search, I'll go like gothic earrings, bat earrings, and all this, and then I'll go and search for something more random, and it doesn't show me more gothic stuff. Oh, Ginger's in the house. Missed out on the Star Seller period by one sale. Oh no. I'll put winter hats into the shop at lower cost than, I can never say this right, kippas, to boost the sale number, if not the gross profit. Yeah. Um, Sometimes it's not a bad idea anyway to if you can, and you're happy to do that and it fits into your sale. Ginger makes makes hats, the kippas, but yeah, I think kit little winter hats is not a bad thing. Um, Emily, Mark mentioned in the Friday Breen. If you don't know, that's Starla Moore, my friend's channel. Her and her husband Mark every Friday do a live. I was going to go like I was going to talk about this yesterday, but then I thought I'm not going to tread on Starla's toes. Friday's her day. Um, Sales tend to slow the week before elections in the US. Wondering if that may be a factor. I've had good October, early November. Sales are a little off. Yeah. Everything, everything kind of makes a difference. But if you've got, say, elections coming up in the US, that can make a difference. The weather being warmer than expected can make a difference. People being a little, I spoke about this with my mum yesterday. Actually, I assume this is worldwide or whatever, but I know definitely in the UK, we've been told our electricity and our fuel prices are going up. We've been scared by it. We've been getting estimates coming in and stuff, but people don't really understand how much our bills are going to be. So everybody's kind of holding off because we're getting some help from the government and we're getting this, and they go up and they go down. So we literally don't know if we're going to be able to afford our bill because we don't know how much more it's going to be. So a lot of people are kind of holding off, just like, I don't know if I have spare money or not. So that's very much a factor. And yeah, going into recession, or people who lost their jobs or changed their jobs during the global fun we've had in the past couple of years. So yeah, that's, I think that's why I said at the start of this that Etsy was sort of tempering expectations and saying this could end up not being a great holiday season, or it could be a good holiday season. I don't think they're predicting it being a better holiday season than last year, and I think that's fair. But about all we can predict just now is that it's unpredictable. I don't I don't feel sales are going to be nothing. I feel sales are going to be pretty good because people are, they're not buying as much, but they want their gift to be more meaningful. So they're looking for more quality, and Etsy's in a really good place. So what this is my feeling and what I've seen from trends. And one trend I've seen a lot on Etsy, a lot of the new people coming in are searching for the word handmade. They don't want something mass produced. They want the thing that's handmade. So definitely lean into that in your shop. If you make it by hand, Ginger, have a picture of you sitting all cozy, creating away and stuff. You know, let people see that this is being made by your own fair hands. That random tangent there, but hopefully it helps people anyway. Yes, here's, oh yes, I really want to see this. Just launched a new way to search by image. Well, right, if anybody has are sold into the cult of Apple, if anyone has an iOS device and has this ability to search by photo, I think you can see there, search for anything on Etsy, and then look, there's a little photo. could somebody be so kind, if you can, but do a screen recording of this to let me see this, and hopefully, if you're happy with that, to let me stick it up on a video. Otherwise, I'll have to find some kind of iOS emulator, but I wanna see this in working. I was gonna say in process, but I wanna see this actually live and working, but you should be able to upload, or hopefully no, it's on a phone, you can't drag a photo. You should be able to upload a photo and see them give you some offers based on that. So, yeah, if someone could screen record that, that would be awesome, so we can all see, those of us who don't have Apple stuff, and see if it works. And yes, more about this personalization. So they're looking at not just making search better and everything, but what is it that people want to be doing next? So to make the prompt personalized, so it's not always saying go back and do this, but you know, a listing that you favored is now on sale, or you've got items in your cart, so it's personalized to the user. So hopefully, yeah, the messages you get and the little pop-ups you're seeing on your screen and the prompts and everything are personalized. So we'll see how that works, but that's what Eatsy's working on. I think it's definitely not a bad idea. The problem I find is that Etsy tends to be a bit annoying. We spoke about this with like reviews. He's sending out the messages going, "You've got a review, pop up, review this product." And the poor customer's going, "I haven't had this product yet." So, yeah, that's a problem. Um, we spoke about the star seller thing. So I forgot what slides are coming up. There was a good thing. Etsy did support sellers impacted by Hurricane Ian. I also know that Etsy has been supporting Ukrainian sellers, and so they're doing their best to do good. I think they messaged customers who were around the area of Hurricane Ian, and also they paused the star seller thing. So you're hopefully not going to lose your star seller if you can't respond to a message because there's a national disaster. There's a disaster in your area. So that's at least good of them. Coffee's almost cold now. That's not bad. That's like over half an hour. Right. So yes, their multi-year journey to build buyer loyalty and trust. So I get Etsy, first one. I think we all know my thoughts on this. Buyer loyalty and trust, showing the cost of shipping. This is them talking about the free shipping guarantee. Yeah, I don't think that builds loyalty and trust. I think they could have just rolled everything in so that the price you see when you look on Etsy shows the whole thing. You don't have to bully sellers. We know that. Then early 2021, delivery transparency for US, and then 2022 for non-US. So this is where we filled in where our what shipping company and things we're using, so that Etsy was able to predict how long it's going to take to get there. Fair enough. And 2022, the purchase protection. I think for customers, this is a good thing for those that missed it. If an item doesn't get to the customer or arrives damaged or something, Etsy, out of their own money, is going to refund the customer. You still have to deal with the customer in the first place and do all the good customer service things, but if everything goes wrong and you can't fix things up, Etsy will pay for it. You don't have to. And then, yes, we just spoke about listing level return policies, where now each of your listing now has its own return policy. So you can have different policies for different listings in your shop. my thought was that was due to how they're speeding up the basically not have to even go into the listing, you just hit a add to cart button and you can buy stuff. Um, um, all right, just checking the chat before I've not. I realize I look a bit mad when I'm doing this. Yes. Um, so, Ginger, your own take on why why things might be a little slow. Fuel oils, the price of diesel is 5.49 a gallon. It takes about 500 gallons per winter to keep your house warm enough. Yeah, and last year it was at 3.20 per gallon. So yeah, that's a huge difference. So yeah, basically everyone's sitting doing the calculations. I've had so many friends like calculating. It's like if this little heater's at that wattage, how much is it going to cost to heat my room for an hour and stuff? And it's like really sad that people are having to worry about that. Toffee Apple Studios, your sales have been good, but only one product in your shop out of the 270. Normally sell other things, but all I sell at the moment is beds. Does Etsy only push one of your items and ignore others? Yes and no. Etsy doesn't physically choose what to push. That's based on the customers. So if something is selling really well, then Etsy's going to keep showing it. So clearly that one thing is selling really well. And what Etsy did tell us a good while ago that basically they look at they look at what you're doing well for, what keywords have worked for you in the past, kind of to look at when you put up a new listing. So if there is a possibility that you sort of have an authority for certain keywords, and you definitely have an authority for that one listing. So if you try to do different things, it might be a little bit harder, if that makes sense. Um, and also, it could be that for your other items, if they're in slightly different searches as well, there might be better competition that's come up lately. But that one listing that's selling and relisting and selling and relisting has a fantastic customer score, a quality score. So yes, it will sell more. It's not unusual to have a shop that's carried by the majority of the sales are just by a couple of listings. Um, Emily, did you notice in the report where they stated beginning to test prioritization of start seller listings in search? They snuck that. They did. I forgot about that. Thank you. Yes. So yes, I did spot that it was very much snuck in, and yes, of course, that had to happen on the very month that I lost Star Seller. I don't know if I told you guys how I lost Star Seller. It's very stupid. I, for the good of my mental health, didn't get mad when I got a new phone that is rubbish. It's very bad at going on the internet. So that's been good for me because if I'm out and about, I don't go on Facebook. I don't try and answer messages, and I'm not answering my Etsy messages. But the problem was I was out and about. I saw a message pop up on my phone from someone on Etsy and thought, I'll get that when I get home. And I forgot. And I think it was 1 hour over the 24 hours. I messaged the customer back. He was absolutely delighted by my answer, immediately purchased the thing that we were talking about. I made it for him. I sent it to him in plenty of time. He loved it. He left me a 5-star review. And I'm not a star seller anymore because of that hour. So if anybody thinks I'm a terrible seller, yes. um, silly. um, but Susie Q, should we use the word handmade? It doesn't look, if you've got a spare tag, you can't think of anything else to put in it. Why not? And what my take from that more is people want to know that your item's handmade. Anyone can put the tag handmade in, but how can you prove it's handmade? So in your description, talk about how you made it. Talk a little bit something about the process or how you were inspired or, what you did in your listing video. Can you show that it is handmade? And in some of your photos, in your about section in your shop, talk about how you hand make the thing, if that makes sense. It doesn't hurt to add the word handmade, but I wouldn't necessarily be aiming for that as like your superstar main keyword. Just tack it on somewhere at the end and forget about it. Um, Oh, created by EGF. Your sales have been really slow. I get it. So many people struggling, myself much included. Can't seem to get hits or even sales. I know it is the horrible thing because of course as sellers, we're part of this whole everything that's happening in the world, and many of us are struggling as well. And I just hope that everyone has a good Christmas. I think it is more than possible that we could all see a good spike in sales still. There are still going to be lots of people selling, but I think we knew by the middle of 2020 that there was going to be some difficult times ahead. It's hopefully we can all work together to get the best that we can. And some people are still going to do well. Um, Ginger Eatsy shows two of my keep I still say it wrong, don't I? Constantly, but they get the fewest favorites. That seems strange. Yeah, it does a little bit. What I'm thinking in my head here, I don't have your data and I don't have Eatsy's data. Um, if you have other ones when they're seen for that very keyword get more favorites and are more likely to be bought, then it does seem very strange. But it could be the case that those two items for cert are doing better than the other items that Etsy shows in search for that very keyword. And it could be a keyword that people don't like. Every keyword's a little bit different, and some of them people are more that will have a higher conversion naturally. People, when they search for a certain thing, are more likely to buy it or they're more likely to heart it. Other ones, excuse me, other keywords, people are maybe a little less likely to. So Etsy's comparing you on that keyword to the other items they can show for that keyword. So it could be the case that that keyword buyers, when they search for that, just don't favorite very often, and yours are just doing better. Hopefully that makes sense. But if it's the same keyword, then yes, that's very strange. Oh, toffee apples used to do really well with greeting cards, but almost stopped since we started with the beds. I couldn't understand it. Yeah. So that could very much be keyword authority. You're doing really well with the beds, and I assume beds are more expensive as well. Etsy did tell us a little while ago, a long time ago, hinted, right, that I don't want to say this is a definite thing. They hinted with this. It was an article Josh did a good while ago, something on couches and cushions, but basically was hinting at the idea that if for the same keyword someone sells a couch and someone sells a cushion, those don't just weight as one sale. They don't have the same weight as just having one sale. They have the couch that made more money gets a little bit more ranking power than the cushion that made slightly less money. So for greetings cards, you might have to sell 10 greetings cards to get the same kind of listing quality boost that one bed's got, if this sort of makes sense. So yeah, it could be that you've built up a really good authority and Etsy says, this shop is great for beds. And it also sells greeting cards, but you're kind of way down on the list. It could be, I would be tempted to experiment if you have time with a second Etsy store for greetings cards and see if having a focused store does you a little bit better. That there's no guarantee, and also, of course, you have to build up a store from scratch that way. Ginger, October's the spooky month in what more ways than one. Um, yeah, toffee apple. Bigger price tag means more fees to eat. See, exactly. And even without me being cynical, the point of search is for Etsy to be able to show the customers the thing they want to buy, and Etsy puts a lot of money into the search engine because Etsy wants to make money out the search engine. Search engine isn't for you and me. It doesn't care if none of my listings show up on search, just so long as the listings that's going to make it money, the listings that customers want to buy, are going to be there. So, yeah, it's Oh, Emily, they did say in the report they're incorporating item price into search algorithms. Yes, I'm not making stuff up. I, as I say, I listened to this. I took notes. I've been thinking about it, but it's almost me fresh. No, it's me fresh going through the slides. So I am forgetting some things. Um, Etsy for holiday, extraordinary, handmade, and affordable. That's what they're pushing for the advertising. This is the focus. I'm not keen on. I affordable for a lot of people makes things sound cheap. I think I would prefer quality or something, but they're wanting to say shop on Etsy. It's not too expensive, which is true. But this is sort of the focus of their advertising: extraordinary, handmade, and affordable. So actually, yeah, I think possibly sneaking in the keyword of handmade here and there isn't going to hurt, because whenever they've been pushing personalized, I have found think like, yeah, you're not going to rank for handmade, but handmade kippet, handmade needle felted dog, handmade jewelry. Handmade jewelry is probably a very high competition one, but that might roll into other terms to make a keyword that people do actually search for, that is actually possible to be found for. Um, I'm just going to skim over. Oh, I didn't mention actually the figures that Etsy give us for GMS also include the other companies that Etsy's bought, like Depop and ELO7. So for looking before 2019, it's not really comparing apples with apples. And if any one of these do really well, then it's going to skew the results. But I'm going to skim over here. This is just what they're planning to do to make these companies do a little bit better. Okay, here is, I'm just checking I've not missed anything on my notes. I think we're kind of okay. So here we can actually see the numbers. GMS. So I love it. They're going, look, this graph is going down, but it's 150% up on 3 years ago. Which is totally fair. Look, we expected these numbers to be down. So Q3 2021, I already gave you the graph. If you missed it, I plot out my own graph every quarter. So I showed that at the start of this. If you want to see it again, I might show it at the end if there's anybody still here. But Q3 2021 was, this is in billions, yes, 3.1 billion, and just now it's down 0.1 billion on last year, which is a 3% drop. And if we look, the actual Etsy's revenue is up a little bit. I explained at the start, and they explained this is due to the Etsy ads increase. Etsy ads, the increase in people using Etsy ads, which is really sad. This is a thing. As people's sales drop, they panic and they start spending money on Etsy ads. The more people that spend money on Etsy ads, the higher the competition for Etsy ads, and then the higher the cost per click for each ad. So this is going to be a spiral where Etsy will be sitting rubbing their hands, but it does mean potentially Etsy ads are going to be even worse. However, they did say they are putting ads in lots of other places as well. the on-site Etsy ads, but it's not just in the search. You can now, I don't know if you can see them on the homepage, but you can see actual ads in other places. So having ads in more places does sort of reduce the competition a little bit more and might mean they don't go quite so expensive, but keep an eye out. Your cost per click may go up. That's me. That's not taken from Etsy. That's just me saying the things. Um, Yeah, so here's their incremental revenue. Yeah, that's how much it went up. So the transaction fee was a big chunk of the increase, and Etsy ads, yep. So those are the things that made the money. So don't be thinking they're going to think of dropping that transaction fee increase anytime soon. That is not going to happen. That's good money. That's helping. Unfortunately, Etsy has shareholders to answer to. I'm one of them. I have half of a share in Etsy just now. I will look at my results if anyone's interested in seeing that at some point. We'll look at how the shares are doing, how the shares are doing compared to ad prices. It's interesting. Um, one thing I didn't mention is that Etsy did mention, yeah, they're not out of idea. I, few people are going to groan here. Etsy are not out of ideas for new things. They have a ton of new ideas on the table. So that says to me next year, hopefully nothing. Well, there isn't usually anything in the crazy selling period. They're not daft. They don't want to crash the site. So next year there will probably be more tests, more new things coming out. So stay tuned. I know that'll make people really happy. They did, as sales have slowed a little bit, they have slowed hiring people and stuff. That's totally normal. And if anyone's interested, that's what they've been spending on development. Investments remain a priority. Yeah, they have been brand marketing spend. They have been in not just America, not just the UK, big push in Germany, but all the other markets that they're advertising in. They are wanting people to recognize Etsy as a brand now, which I I think it definitely does. Since I started in 2008, nobody knew about Etsy pretty much in the UK. Now everybody knows about it. It's a meme for handmade things. People mention it. It's a well-known brand. Um, Annualized reinvestment. Oh yes, here we go. Yes, so the money they're reinvesting in. Here's the breakdown of where it goes. Trusted marketplace initiatives, investments in customer support and trust and safety. So that's how much. That's not a lot they've added into customer support. That's increasing their head count. That's marketing. That's because we don't pay for all of the ads, like the TV ads and stuff. Etsy pay for that to build the brand on their own. And the purchase protection, this is where they're paying back customers who weren't happy. They're paying out of their own money. So I thought that was going to be a much bigger chunk. So there's interesting. We don't have I don't have at the minute the actual numbers for that. I'm sure it's somewhere in here. We're over 2 times bigger than we were in 2019. But I mean, definitely individual shops will be sitting going, but I'm not 2 times bigger than I was in 2019. And that's not how it works. There's been a lot more customers come in, there's been a lot more sellers come in. There is we're in a much bigger puddle now, but there's a lot more fish in the puddle, so it does become a struggle. For instance, finding good keywords and things becomes harder and harder, but you just it's all work. It's better to be the place where the customers are, but it's not easy. It's not easy to be in a site that's little that doesn't have much competition because it doesn't have much customers. It's not easy to be on a site that has lots of competition and lots of customers. And yeah, Eatsy's growth isn't going to be seen by all of us individually. Oh, here I mentioned this, how much individual customers are spending. So it did, in 2019, they were spending about $100. It peaked last year at $137 each. It's down to 135. That's nothing. So buyers are spending more, which is kind of cool. And we've already talked about the buyers. Yeah. How many active buyers there are on site? There are 88 million buyers on Etsy. But the numbers sound less good when you say the ones that are, what was it, buying 6 days, buying on 6 different days in the year and spending over $300. That is 7.6 billion, and people who've come back on a different day and purchased, it's 35.5 million. I said billion there, million. That's more than there is people on the planet, isn't it? Anyway, so 35.5 million people buy at least a couple of days in the year. So yeah, it's a lot of people. 88 million buyers on Etsy. Um, New buyer acquisition. Yep. So it's the new buyers that are coming in this quarter. We had 6.3 million new buyers and 5.1 million who had bought before but haven't been back for a while. So I mean, we see Q4 2020, Christmas 2 years ago, 12 million new buyers. That's why that's why the numbers were so huge. But we're still it's still growing more than it did before the pandemic. Um, there's their numbers and more numbers. Yes. I don't. Can I actually put the link into chat? I don't know if I can. Let's see if that works for people who are asking where to find that. I think YouTube might. Well, we'll find out. There's probably a lag, but YouTube might not let me put the link. Oh, it did. So if you want the presentation, it is there. There's nothing. It's just numbers now. Oops. I hid the wrong thing. I hid my own face. Yeah, but that's roughly it. Let me know, guys, anything you want me to go deeper into. I definitely want to look at the search using images on fruit-based operating systems. So if anybody wants to do a screen recording of something like that for me, I would love it. Please, because I don't have any Apple products. Definitely, I want to dig into using Star Seller to rank a bit higher in search. That's very annoying. And yeah, anything else you want me to look into, I certainly will. I'll just check the chat, and then I think my light's just going to die on me. Yeah, I'll check the chat, and then I'll leave you to your Saturday. And guys, thank you so much for joining me. I didn't realize we would have 50 people joining me when I didn't even give a warning I was going to do this, and it's a Saturday. But we've got 50 people here just now and only 17 likes. So don't give a like for Etsy. If you're mad at Etsy, don't take it out on me. But give us a like if you like hearing me go through these things. Give us a comment letting me know if you want me to go in depth on anything in this, and I will definitely do a bit more research. Where did I get to in the chat? Oh, Toffee Apples already has a second shop, and it rarely sells anything. It is difficult to run 2 shops, I'm not gonna lie. Um, so yeah, perhaps a website, perhaps it's difficult, but if you have one thing that's doing well, keep that going and then see what time you have and what energy you have for doing something different. Ginger with the Kippets, there's a limited selection of keywords and tags. I have a list for each fiber. Yeah, get found for wool on all of them. Yeah, people worry too much about keywords. One or two is good enough a lot of the time. You get 13 tags. You can put in what you found these important keywords are, and then after that, that's the time to stuff in. Don't use the term stuffing for keywords, it's bad. But that's the time to add everything else you can think of. What's the gender of the person it's for? What occasion do they want it for? Is it handmade? Don't worry about the rest of your 13 tags. Just bung in bung in terms that seem reasonable. Get the listing up. It can't sell if it's not live on Etsy. And then after a few months, come back and check and see if there was any fun keywords you hadn't thought of that you got found for, because Etsy is able to mix and match the terms that you've had in your tags to be able to match you for other keywords that you perhaps hadn't thought of. Um, Oh, Toffee Apple, you've not got too many listings on the new shop. You need more time. Oh, tell me about it. Am I the only one, random off topic as we do? But I just days seem to be shorter. I used to be able to like have I never wrote it down. I should write it down more often, but I'd have the checklist in my head of the things that I want to do for that day. And I used to be able to do that and then go, right, I'm going to sit and watch telly. Great, I've done everything I need to do. Now I get through like about the first two things on my in-head list and the day's over. I seem to be much less efficient. so so that's why it's taken me till Saturday to get this video up. I planned to do it on Thursday. I meant to do it on Friday. Now it's Saturday and I gave myself a kick in the bum. I was like, Pam, get online and do this. Um, um Created by AGF. I keep wanting to call you Elf. I'm just glancing. Created by Elf. Created by EGF. My shop is about 60% physical and 40% digital, but my physical products get no hits. Don't have the mental energy to do two shops. You don't always have to split a shop if they're relevant for each thing. If it's relevant for a set niche. I was just thinking cards and beds aren't net they could be I don't know what kind they are. They could be relevant for a niche. You don't have to go too granular and completely split up your shops entirely. It is possible to have similar things, and yeah, look, you don't have to do all of the things. You don't have to be perfect. I know there's so much advice out there, and so many people, especially if you're not getting sales, try and follow all of the advice. I'm going to say for anybody, what I've already said a couple of times in this video. Firstly, if your listing ain't live, it can't sell. So everything else you're doing, that's the most important thing, is that it's live. Get as good photographs are really important. Get some good photographs, as good as you can. Always try and be improving. Photography's hard. It's a big skill in its own right. And think of at least two think of at least two keywords that you think might be really relevant for your item. You can use a tool like eRank. You can ask your friends and family. You can look at your stats in the past. But a couple of items that describe your item. Get them in your title. Get them in your tags. Fill in the rest of your tags with things that pop into your mind that are relevant. Don't worry too much about it. Write your description so it makes sense to your customer. Make sure everything else, like the attributes and all that, fill in what's relevant. Don't spend too much time worrying about it. List the item. Anything else, look at how much time you've got, how much time you want to spend on things, but separating up into two shops, doing doing all the alt text, do it when you've got a few minutes to add alt text to your photos. But it's not a checkbox. You don't have to get everything perfect, and if you don't have everything perfect, you won't have sales. Good enough's good enough. Make the listing thinking about the customer most and get it up there. And then you'll start getting some data, and then next time round you might have ideas for even better keywords. You can make the listing even better. It's something my YouTube gurus are always talking about as well. Is doesn't have to be perfect just now. Each time, just make something a little better. Each time you make a new listing, think of something a little better. Each time you sit down to do a photography shoot, think of something you can improve a little better. Think of a different keyword. Think of one little change to make it better. Don't try and do it all at once. I hope that makes sense. Toffee apples. Should we try and push the environmentally friendly, reusable angle? Absolutely. That's another one. It's been trending for long enough. People like it, and that's another thing on quality gifts and stuff. If something is reusable, if something is environmentally friendly, people like to gift that a little bit more, and they'll spend a little bit more because they're getting a gift and they want to give a quality gift. So absolutely. Ginger, prices seem to be the thing that triggers the buy. I have a very hard time selling hats locally that will pay for my time. Craft fairs can be a very difficult different kettle of fish. I've told the story a million times of when I took my work to a craft fair and I was too nervous to even give it a sensible price, so I put it for like £5. Exchange rate, that's probably about $5 just now. So I had about £5 for things that took me many hours of work. And I remember someone coming in, picking up a little dog by the leg and going, £5 for that? Screwed up her ugly little face and then just dropped it. And I just looked at that, and that said to me, it's like, I don't want to sell to you. I don't want you to have 5 hours of my work for £5. Um, so Etsy, you can get a higher price, which is really good. And Ginger, also put your patterns in your vintage supply shop with links to the listings. Yeah, patterns do sell. They do. And that, I love that. That is genius, because Etsy is full of crafty people, and hands up, give us a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever seen a new craft and you fancied it, and you've bought the books or the supplies, or you've spent money on this brand new craft that sounds amazing, and you ended up not really getting any good at it or not spending the time. So it's either still sitting in your house, or you ended up going and buying a ready-made product from the person. So crafters are avid buyers as well. So Lincoln saying, here's the pattern, but if you love this, but you don't want to make it yourself, let's be honest, you're not going to make it yourself. I've made it for you. Go over to my other shop. And that's given links between the two shops, which to my understanding, Google likes. That's giving great traffic. I'm not sure, but it could link them up in Etsy as well when they're talking about this personalized thing. When somebody looks at this pattern, they next go and look at this. So when they're personalizing and saying, hey, you might also like, they could be showing you your ready-made hat as well. So she's got smarts. Kim, hi there. Love Saturday lives because they're the only ones I can get to. Oh, well, good to see. Because I gave no warning and I don't go live on a Saturday very often, I'm surprised that anyone was here. I'm surprised and delighted. Ginger, numbers make my brain go numb. Oh, I love numbers, so I'm happy to do it. Jack's Yarn, thank you very much. Could I post the graph somewhere? It's actually posted in the eRank Facebook group, but I will. Right, you won't hear me for a minute. So people cheer, but if I right, hopefully hopefully you can see it there, but I did post the graph in the eRank Facebook group. Um, Susie Q, I have a few listings that have over 30 likes a day. Does it hurt my listing because it hasn't been purchased yet? It's a Christmas wreath. Not at all. Um, it would only hurt your listing if whatever keyword it's being found for, there's let's say there's more than 20, but let's say there's 20 listings that people can see on that page. If all the other 19 listings were being purchased and yours was only being favorited, then Etsy would like it less and drop it down in the search. But if nobody else's are getting purchased just now and yours are getting the most likes, then Etsy will still see this as a good thing. It's overall conversion, overall likes and everything only matter comparatively to how well, it's not even overall. It only matters for that keyword how your listings are doing compared to the other listings that are shown for that keyword, if that makes sense. So it doesn't hurt at all. And 30 likes a day, it could just be, it's a Christmas wreath. People are making a list of the things that they want to decorate their house. It's like a Pinterest board, but they're doing it on Etsy. So hopefully some of them will come back and buy. They're just saving ideas for later. Not everyone's going to come back and buy, but that's the thing. Emily, it's not just me with the not able to do stuff. You can't remember the last time I made it through a to-do list. Miss Mio Mai, good morning from Seattle. Hi there, good to see you. Um, Pen's just joined and gone back to the start. Yep, this will be on YouTube's really good at getting the replays up. This will be on replay, so you can catch all of the chat. Jack's yarn, good enough is value. I'm holding on to the Dali quote, have no fear of perfection, you'll never reach it. Absolutely. Okay, guys, I will leave you to it for nothing more than I've had my tea cooking downstairs and it smells absolutely lovely. So I've got to go and stir a big pot of stew. Perfect wintry things. Thank you so much for joining me. If there are things that you want me to deep dive a little bit more out of this and make a standalone video about, pop it into the comments of this video if you're watching it in the replay. And yeah, I promise it's on my to-do list and I will actually do it. But thank you so much for joining me. Have an awesome weekend. Yeah.